favorite scary movie.
Hello and welcome to another video by Fairly Critical. We are officially in the spooky season as Halloween is only a few weeks away. A season dedicated to the idea that spirits from beyond the grave can walk the world once more. And where every breeze turns into a chill down your spine, every dark hallway becomes that much scarier to traverse, and scary movies reign supreme. If you are looking for recommendations, fear not, because Fairly Critical has your back. But before we get into them, I just want to thank you guys again for supporting the channel like this. If you do like the video, please give it a like down in the bottom. Please subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And without further ado, let's get into it. Here are 12 films that you should watch this October. Number 12, Beetlejuice. If I am being honest, I am not a huge fan of Tim Burton in general, but he has managed to create quite a loyal fan base over his 50-year directing career. One of his fan favorites is 1988's Beetlejuice, a horror comedy that stars Michael Keaton, Alec Baldwin, Geena Davis, and a young Winona Ryder. The film is light on horror and heavy on comedy, but its spooky theme definitely captures the essence of the Halloween season. Start your watch list off with this lighthearted entry and then decide whether you want to go for more frights or more laughs. Number 11, Poltergeist. If you decide you are looking for something a little bit scarier, the 1982's classic Poltergeist is a great place to start. A supernatural horror about a family living in a haunted house. Nothing says red flag quite like a young girl staring into a blank TV set before telling me that while the special effects don't quite live up to today's standards, the feelings of desperation and panic that the parents exude while trying to protect their children from malevolent spirits will more than suck you in. Whether or not the ending of the film is truly a happy one or not, you will have to determine for yourself. Number 10, Halloween. While the Halloween series of films has had its ups and downs over the past 40 years, it cannot be refuted that the original is a classic and deserves your respect. The audience can't help but feel horror and suspense as they watch the unstoppable killing machine that is Michael Myers stalk his prey, and that is only heightened by the iconic score by John Carpenter. Truly one of the most recognizable slasher films of all time, the film series was revamped in 2018 into a trilogy, whose third film releases in theaters on October 13th. But before you watch a marathon of the new films, start with where it all began. Number 9, Cabin in the Woods. If you are a fan of the horror genre, you know that there are a lot of tropes that you will find on repeat in a lot of horror films. 2012's Cabin in the Woods knows those tropes as well, but turns them on their head in quite a clever way. Not only an entry into the horror genre, but also a satire of it, this film will have you on the edge of your seat as you root for your favorite characters to both survive and figure out what the heck is really going on. Number 8, The Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project was a hit or miss for a lot of moviegoers when it first released, but it achieved a high level of critical acclaim, specifically for its success in using the concept of found footage. The mockumentary style of shooting, highlighted by the shaky camera work of our protagonists as they run from something that always seems to be just out of view, adds supremely to the horrifying tone of the movie. It has been said that our imagination can be more terrifying than anything reality can throw at us, and this film proves it. Ultimately, you will be more scared about what you don't see in this film than what you do. Number 7, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Yes, I am actually advocating for an animated Scooby-Doo film on my Halloween watch list. This movie serves multiple functions. First, it is a nice break after watching the horrifying Blair Witch Project. Second, it is a Halloween entry that the whole family can enjoy. And third, it is just a well-written and executed film. The movie sees the titular dog and his pals evade zombies, cultists, and cats as they work to figure out the curse of Moonscar Island. At only an hour and 18 minutes, the twist at the end places it above its weight class in terms of a satisfying mystery, and it may end up being your favorite of the list, regardless of your age or how seriously you take yourself. Number 6, Nightmare on Elm Street. If you ask people to name the most iconic movie monsters, Freddy would almost certainly be in the top 5 for almost everyone. The original Nightmare on Elm Street gave rise to a truly horrifying villain with a truly horrifying ending, as it leads us to believe that there is no way to truly best the burned man. That and Robert Englund's bombastic performance of the character is certainly in keeping with the nature of 80s films. Nightmare on Elm Street was remade in 2010, and while I actually prefer the new take on Freddy in the remake, the original movie's subversive storytelling still makes it the superior film. Number 5, Sleepy Hollow. The second entry on this list from director Tim Burton, Sleepy Hollow adds a gothic romance to the list this year. Loosely based on the short story by Washington Irving, the film stars Johnny Depp as a police constable from New York sent to investigate a series of beheadings in the small hamlet of Sleepy Hollow. In keeping with Tim Burton's style of filmmaking, the movie tips the scale more towards humor than actual horror, but excellent performances from its huge cast and the dreary atmosphere of a late 18th century village makes it a worthy entry to your October watch list. Number 4, Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus is just one of those films that screams Halloween. While it is not a horrifying thrill fest, it is a well-written story of 3 witches that return on All Hallows Eve thanks to a virgin high schooler trying to impress a girl. Unfortunately, his compromised decision-making nearly causes the deaths of his sister and every child under the age of 12 in the town of Salem, Massachusetts. This movie recently got a sequel on Disney+, but the best thing I can say about it is that it is a movie. Seriously, after you watch the first one, ask yourself if the perfect ending to its story really needed to be undone to make a franchise. Spin-offs? Sure. But direct sequels? If you are like me, you will pretend the second just doesn't exist. Number 3, Trick or Treat. You would be forgiven if you never watched 2007's excellent entry Trick or Treat, as it was never given a theatrical release. However, this film was lauded by critics as being one of the best horror films of the decade when it came out, and it is easy to see why. Unlike any of the other entries on our list, Trick or Treat follows 5 separate stories that tie together as the film goes on and give us a fresh take on the Halloween season. DC Comics actually had a 4-issue comic arc they planned to print alongside the film when it was released, but put it on hold when the movie was backlisted. They reworked it and released the issues as a graphic novel adaptation of the film in 2009. A sequel to Trick or Treat was said to be in development earlier this month, but announcements like that were made in 2009 and 2013 to no avail. If you end up watching this and enjoying it, cross your fingers for a well-made follow-up, because it really deserves it. Number 2, Scream. Similar to Cabin in the Woods, Scream is both an entry into the horror genre and a satire of it. Inspired by the real-life case of the Gainesville Ripper, Scream breathed new life into the slasher subgenre of horror and introduced all of us to the rules of horror films, such as...
Number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, "I'll be right back," because you won't be back.
Scream has turned into a successful film franchise with its latest entry hitting theaters in January of 2022. But the original still remains the best in my humble opinion. Watch this one alone or with a group of friends. You won't feel safe either way. Number 1, Paranormal Activity. An evolution of the found footage concept employed by the Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity is a horrifying entry to any spooky season watch list. Recorded by cameras set up to capture strange occurrences that keep happening around their new home, the audience watches as a couple is tormented by a demon. The tension builds progressively as the strange occurrences turn from minor noises and flickering lights to demonic grunting and possessions. The film would go on to create a sprawling franchise that will release its 8th installment in 2023 if all goes according to plan. As always though, go with the original this October, but maybe with the lights on. And there we go. That is our list of 12 movies you should watch this October. Obviously, there are many, many more films that could have been added to it. Let us know in the comments which films you would like to see added to our list next year. Please be sure to give this a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already done so. And share this with your friends, anyone you think might make or need a movie recommendation this October. We will return next week with another video, or in other words,
I'll be right back.